Hello everyone, my name is Emem Gabriel Ette and I am the Director of the Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Response Department of the Ministry of Justice and also the Secretary of the Akwa State Gender-Based Violence Management Committee.
Thank you very much for your time, ma'am.
Thank you very
So
much.
tell us about Ibom and gender-based violence. How prevalent is this issue in our state?
Yeah, like every other place, every other continent, every other place, gender-based violence is an issue the world over. It is something that everyone is contending with globally, and Akwa Ibom is not different from the other places, because when it comes to gender-based violence, there are underlying issues that drive, the incidences, and so those issues are still prevalent in our communities, and we see it daily in our lives, which includes patriarchy and customs and religion and norms that we were born with, that we grew up with, and that we are finding very difficult. Even when the world has moved on, we are finding it very difficult to divest ourselves of those norms. And so yes, those issues persist in Akwa Ibom, because when it comes to gender-based violence, it mostly involves intimate partner relationships, where these things happens in homes, happens between people that have continuing relationships, and then it is not easy to divest emotions sometimes from these incidences. For example, when we talk about spousal battery that happens between a husband and a wife, for example, and especially where they have children, you see that even if it is a crime or actions that have been prescribed by the laws as criminal offenses, you see that we have to look for alternative dispute resolution mechanism to see how we can deal with those issues, seeing that there are continuing relationship, and then the victim might have guilt trips and all that, and a lot of things to contend with. So you see that what the Akwa Ibom State government is trying to do, or we have put things in place to do, is to see how we to prevent those things from even happening, taking into consideration all the things that we have to put in place, to ensure that we don't allow it to happen at all. And that involves doing a lot of sensitization, putting in place a law, and not just putting in place a law, setting up mechanisms to ensure that that law is implemented. People know their rights, people know how to identify, these issues of gender-based violence, where they can report and how they can even respond, even without going to government. And the government has done a lot in that regard. So maybe as we go on, we'll talk about it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. But for a moment, let's take a break and recognize the International Women's Day celebration of 8th March. So we would like to first begin with your message to every woman out there as we mark this year's celebration.
Okay, the theme for this year, the general theme is accelerate action for, equal gender equality. Accelerate action for gender equality. When we talk about gender equality, they are not about semantics. They are not about things we talk about every day. It is something that we as women must intentionally bring it to pass. I'm sure we've been hearing of all the noise that has been all over social media and all that about sexual harassment. People come out to say a lot of things, and a lot of things. We know what the truth is. We all know what the truth is, but we are refusing to address the elephant in the room. And me, I don't know how to join people to make noise when what is to be addressed is there. From time immemorial, men have always used women against women. When you talk about female circumcision, female genital mutilation, why do we have female genital mutilation? So that women will not be promiscuous. Who stands to benefit if women are not promiscuous? Men. What is the health, benefits of female genital mutilation? What are the downsides? Women are scarred. Some of them, when they go to give birth, they have tears that cannot be stitched. They no longer attain orgasm. That is life to some people, and all that. Who stands to benefit? When you go to a traditional ruler and say, why did we have FGM? They will say, so that our children will not be promiscuous, so that they will not know the joy and let me use colloquial language, sweetness of sex. Let's just go to the cut it to the basics, right? Who stands to enjoy that? Men. And who do they use to perpetuate that? Women. And you see that that is continuing even in 2025. When someone makes an allegation of sexual harassment, it is an allegation. Nobody is guilty of it. But we have institutions set up by law to look into that allegation. We have the police, we have the courts that will now decide if that allegation is true or false, whether the person was guilty or not guilty. We have why don't we follow the mechanisms instead of going to bring up issues? When you want to shut up a woman, when you are quarreling with a woman, is to tell the woman, Ashawo, let's use pidgin, or in my language, Akwa. But once you say that, you are supposed to shut up the woman. Just shut her up. When once you say that, we men, this international day, or when we are celebrating the International Day for Women, we must understand that equality is you understanding who you are, and that whatever society, whatever name society has labeled you, you have grown above it. You have grown above it. Oh, for example, they say equal woman. We have to go above that level for us to even gain equality for ourselves, so that if men come to use us against another woman, we can stand our ground and say, whether she is right or not, I stand here. Because there is a ripple effect of them succeeding to use us against each other. But if it is something that is right, you as a person know what is right, and what should be done. I am not saying when something is wrong, you should stand. You know what is right. Nobody can ask you to put your hand in fire, and because you know it will burn you. When you know something is wrong, stand for something, even if every other person is standing against it. As long as your conscience convicts and say this is right, stand for it, even if you stand alone. And so, as we go on to celebrate the International Women's Day, I'm asking our women to stand up for themselves first. If you are able to stand up for yourself, you will be able to stand up for another person. And when we realize that when one person is down, it is all of us down, we will know that standing for each other is very important. When you stand and you do not know what to do, insist that due process is done. When due process is done, perhaps, even if the world is upside down, when the due processes are followed, you will see that the truth will come out at the end. So that is my word for women. Okay.
So when somebody says something like bring up evidence, let's see the evidence of sexual harassment, the first thing that comes to my mind is, how did this person know that in walking into this environment she is going to be harassed? So to turn on a recorder or turn on a video to collect evidence. How are we supposed to gather evidence? This issue of bring up evidence, because in the end, it feels like it is your word against mine. The lady says, I was harassed. The man says, no, I didn't harass you. And the next question the public comes with is, show us the evidence.
If I come leave my home to go to work, for example, I'm not going there with a camera. So I didn't go there. I'm not going there with the mind that I'm going to be sexually harassed. What do you even call sexual harassment? This even tapping. You tap someone on the bum or buttocks. Let me call it what it is. That's harassment. Saying things, obscene things to people. Oh, of course, we know what we are talking about. There are things you say to someone, and someone says, I don't like what you're saying. Objectizing, someone's body. Saying this, oh, this one, oh, your breast is so lovely, this one, and I say, I don't like that. And you keep going, that's an harassment. These are things that we take for granted because we are used to it. So now I think we should have a consciousness. That is why we are going around. Women should have a consciousness of knowing when to start gathering evidence. That does not mean that you can set someone up, to get evidence. But there are things people say to you that is sexual harassment. There are some touches. People touch you and you are being sexually harassed. And there are things people even do to you that is sexual harassment.
So how do you collect this evidence so that when you're asked in court, I mean, you know how it is when you take your case to the court, it is evidence that sort of speaks for you.
My telling the court I was touched is evidence, because I'm saying it on oath. It is time for the court to now say, how was I touched? And I describe it. I describe how I was touched, where I was touched, when I was touched, the time I was touched. I will describe it, because I did not go there with a camera, but I can describe, and my standing in the witness box under an oath to say it, knowing that if it is found that I was lying, that I will be held for perjury. It is evidence. When once you stand and you swear on an oath, or you affirm, you stand there, that is evidence. Because we also have what we call perjury. So if someone, for example, tapped my breasts, and I go and report it that you tapped my breast, the evidence I give is I stand there and I affirm, or I swear on the Bible and say, on social date at social time, Mr. A or Mrs. B tapped my breast. That is evidence. It is left for the court to now attach a weight to what I have said. Right? If the court attaches weight and says what I said, how I said it, because when the court is looking at you, the court takes in everything, not just what you say, how you say it, your body language and all that. The court looks at all that and takes all that into consideration before it makes a decision. It is the court that decides. Even when you even give concrete evidence, it is the court that decides what weight to attach to your evidence.
Thank you.
So saying something is not just when you do a video, you do a picture. If you have it, beautiful. Because once you have a documentary evidence, it speaks to the facts. But then, even at that, the court has a discretion to attach whatever weight it wants to those evidence. So even your spoken word is evidence.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
So how can we accelerate action to achieve gender equality? How can we accelerate action to stop violence against women? I mean, in Akwa Ibom, just of recent, we did hear of how a guy strangled his own girlfriend today. I'm not sure the level of what's done about that issue currently. I don't know if you have information on it. So how can women stay safe? How can we accelerate action to, put a stop, or at least reduce to the barest minimum the issues of violence against women?
First of all, the society should believe women. When somebody, whether it is a woman or a man, that raises alarm on whatever is happening to the person, the society should first give the victim the benefit of doubt. That's number one. That is when the perpetrators will become afraid. It is not when something happens, you start blaming, oh, a girl has been killed. Why did she follow a man? It is because of money. They use that to do Yahoo because she does not follow poor men. And then you take the conversation from someone who has been killed to what the victim was doing, and you completely forget the perpetrator in that conversation. If you understand, that is what our society is. They now, amplify what the victim was wearing, where the victim was, what the victim was doing, and even in this matter, that a girl was strangled. Everybody says she was his girlfriend. They don't even know, was she still his girlfriend at the time this incident happened? Do they even know the facts behind that? But they've already concluded. And to that, the person is in custody and of course will have his day in court. So first of all, let society be on the side of the victim. Let society give anybody that sends out an alarm that benefit of that she might be saying the truth, or he might be saying the truth. Let us remove our genderless when we are looking at violence. Violence is violence, no matter who perpetrates it. If it is a woman, it is violence. If it is a man, it is violence. So that is what, first of all, the society must change their perception of what violence is, and know that when once a man hits a woman, it is not a war between men and women. When a woman hits a man, It is not the time for us to fight a woman did this, a man did this. It is a time to say somebody did this and that person must face the consequences. Violence by whoever is wrong. Violence affects us one way or the other. Because, for example, if I work in this office and something happens to me, maybe my spouse hits me and I don't come to work, you see that it will affect the whole work system for that day. And it will go and affect, whatever the economic status of the state, one way or the other. Right? So violence is violence. And so when it comes to violence, my own is, let us first of all know our rights. Let us consciously and intentionally also know the mechanism that government has put in place to address those issues. For example, in something happens and they put it on Facebook, you see people in Akwa Ibom tagging VDM. Is it VDM? Tagging people when they have institutions right in this state that is even closer to them to address those issues. We have the police here, you have the Ministry of Justice, you have the Ministry of Women Affairs, you have the GBV Management Committee, you have our numbers, you have our Facebook pages, you have our Instagram, we have everything, we've put it out there. If something happens, call these people. But our people instead, they will tag people that are even outside the state, and then they will make all sort of conjectures, and then the real issues, and even at that point the perpetrator might even find a window to run away and not be caught.
Why do you think people tend to trust VDM or that?
No, because like I think that they don't even know the mechanisms that are in the state, and they are not, people don't read. Most people don't read. I think so. And a lot of, we've gone on radio, we've gone on TV. Since 2021, there has been an intensive drive, sensitization drive. We translated the VAP law into four dialects: Eket, Anang, Ibibio, and oral language.
And what is the core message?
Stop violence. And in those pamphlets, we have, included a referral pathway. If this happens, this is what you should do in that referral pathway. So it is for journalists and other people who have means of putting this thing out there on social media and all that, to put this thing so that people will know where to go to when these things, come up.
What policies and laws do we have currently that protect victims of violence against women, gender-based violence?
We have the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law, 2020.
What does it say?
It has 26 offenses. That are, gender-based violence.
We'll collect them and make sure that it's carried
it has. I will give you, spousal battery, abandonment of children, pouring acid on so many offenses are there.
I'll give you that. One moment. In the issue that we are facing currently, right, between Senator Natasha and the Senate President, one antecedent seems to be working against Senator Natasha. The fact that she has accused someone before and it turned out to be false is why so many people are saying that if she's lied before, that she can lie again. They're also saying that if she lied to the husband about the fact that, according to her, she was inappropriately spoken to by the Senate President, that she lied to the husband, mean that she can lie to any other person. These kinds of antecedents, and the fact that it's been told over time that some are false alarm of rape, alarm of sexual harassment by women, that they are false, and that some men has even gone into prison because of this. These are the reasons why the public cannot fervently believe a woman when she says, okay, I have been sexually harassed. How do we address this one?
The law.
Say that again, please.
You address it with the law. Because somebody said, I was sexually harassed, and it turned out, how did you even know it was turned out, that it turned out to be false?
In the case of Reno
gave a rebuttal. And after that, what happened? When it comes to sexual harassment, I always keep the door open. Anything can happen. And once there is an allegation, let them follow through with the allegation and come to the end of it. Until they come to the end of it, we will never know. That does not mean that other people or other times when she cries foul that there's a foul. Someone can say, oh, I was raped and was not raped. Does not mean that person cannot be raped. So when somebody says, I have been sexually harassed, let her go to court. and then address that issue in court. It is not a thing that will now affect what other people say. Because, society, we always shoot ourselves in the foot. We always shoot ourselves in the foot. Well, once somebody has, so like I hear that Senator Itagiwa said that once you get to the Senate, you are above sexual harassment. I do not even understand how that even came out, from. I had an 86-year-old woman who was raped by a 36-year-old man.
What?
Was that not harassment? Was that not rape? A woman from 0 months till she dies can be sexually harassed, can even be raped. Because I've seen instances where it is a woman in her, not one woman, not two women, has been sexually abused. At that age, I have also seen babies from 3 months being sexually abused. So when you go to the Senate, what happens there? You are no longer a woman, you become a man, or according to her, you become a person. What does that even mean? So we keep dancing to the tune of society. We keep, expanding the toga that society has placed upon women. If Senator Natasha said she was sexually harassed, the law is there. They are legislators. They are even the ones who made that law. Let them go and test the law in the law court. And then it is what the law says, it is what the court says that I will say. For me, I have no comments on what is going on with our Senate president. And now, if he who alleges must prove, and there is a place to go and litigate those issues. But generally, if somebody comes to me here and says, I have been sexually harassed, I put the law in motion. I do a petition to the police. This person has made this complaint. Please investigate. The work of the police is to do their investigation and send their report to us. When their report comes to us, we also go through another process of looking at the investigations of the police to see if it shows any, liability. If there is any legal issue that has been raised, we can now give an opinion and say this person should be prosecuted. And then we go on to prosecute. And then the court will now decide whether we have brought enough evidence to convict the person. And if we have brought enough evidence to convict the person, the court convicts. There are procedures. It is not a matter of, we Nigerians, we love a lot of Facebook and social media. We have social media courts and everybody says all kinds of things, and everyone says when there are procedures, let them follow procedure. It is not a matter of coming to do sensationalism and everything. Let procedure be followed, and at the end of the day, there will be a precedent. So that when the court has pronounced on this matter, tomorrow if something else that they will say, refer to the case of this one and this one. This was the precedent. These were the legal issues that were raised, and this is how the court, dealt with those issues, and it becomes a precedent for other cases that might come up. Let us not, in the process of, killing what is this adage they say, you throw the bad water and the baby and everything away. Let us not do that, because it will take us back, to the era where people will be genuinely, harassed, and we say because this person had lied, this person is lying, and because of that, their rights. We are talking about accelerated action, to protect the rights of women. Those who have been, let me use the word, genuinely harassed, will now no longer have it, because they can't even come out again. Because they will think that they will not be believed, because this other person, society had already said she was lying, so any other person must be lying. So that is the danger of these assumptions that we go on and we keep assuming, and that is why I am saying let the law take its course, so that we will have concrete precedents, something we can hang things on when something like that comes up.
Thank you very much. Your final shots, so I can allow you to run into your day.
Okay.
And that would be a call to action to women, any gender, as it concerns abuse, and then draw it home with this International Women's Day celebration.
Okay, so as involves violence, it is all of us. We all owe a responsibility to each other, whether you are a man or you are a woman. If you are a man, you came from a woman. If you are a woman, a man ensured that you came to be. And so we must each be our brother's keeper. It's very important that we look out for each other and know that violence is an evil against all of us, not just the male against the female gender or the female against the male gender. No woman wants to stay in an abusive place. Neither is a man. Recently, we've had a lot of reports from men, complaints from men, and the society is degenerating because even the women are also taking up arms. At the end of the day, it's the society that suffers because recently we had the case where the wife cut off the private parts of the husband, and the husband used something to hit the woman's head, and the two of them were dead. Two of them died. With how many children? Is it 6 children? Who will take care of those children? What will happen to those children? Even if the government said, oh, we are going to take care of it, do you know how that works? For how many years? This administration will leave, another administration will take over. What is the need? And then what of the trauma of what those children, have witnessed? Some of these children turn out to be abusers themselves. So at the end of the day, your child that you think you have protected can now become a victim to a child of another child that came from, an abusive home, that have witnessed such horror. So it is our responsibility to ensure that we keep our society free from violence. It is our responsibility to know that when we see something that is not right in our environment, we report it. Even if we don't want to be known, come and report, and then we'll step in and ensure that your environment is crime-free, your environment is violence-free. Let us see how we can strive for a society where there is no violence, where husbands and wives can live in peace, where people can resolve their issues without resorting to violence. So many mechanisms are available for that, and government has established different places where you can go and resolve your issues. Even in the judiciary, we have the multi-door courthouse of the judiciary where you can walk in free, absolutely free, and make your complaints. We have the Center for Alternative Dispute Resolution, also established for government, where you can go and resolve your issues. You have the Ministry of Justice here where you can walk in and also get your issues resolved at no cost. There is no reason anybody should carry arms against each other. There is no reason why we should resort to violence in sorting out our issues. So today I speak to all Akwa Ibomites that we should always seek peace for our good, that we should all seek, because the end of violence is not always right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.